The other day we shot a video with Charity, young girl, where we slammed her bars and adjusted her seat height and seat position fore aft and did a lot of things. And then we posted it. It's gotten quite a few hits, and I got a lot of email questions from it. So I thought I would expand on that just a little bit. And then after I expand on this just a little bit, we're going to actually put her on a tri-bike and show the differences. But a lot of people really just don't know the difference between a road bike and a tri-bike. And so I thought, well, this would be a good chance to give a good example of that. Now, Charity's bike is just a stock Trek road bike, and we moved the seat pretty far forward on the seat post on this thing. And so we ended up with the seat, if you measure it to the center of here with it all the way forward, it's at 76 degrees. And that's pretty forward for a road bike. That's about as far as it goes. And on a tri-bike, what happens is that the manufacturers take this tube, the seat tube, and move it forward. And they move the top tube forward with it. And so this bike will end up at about, she'll end up probably at 79 to 80 degrees, which is, you know, about that much further forward. And the reason that you don't do that or want to do that very much is because you end up like riding a unicycle. You have all your weight forward on the bike, so when you go downhill real fast, the bike handles crazy. And so what happens is when you, this is your top tube length to here. Well, as you move forward a couple of inches, or the 4 or 5 degrees, well, on a tri-bike, this whole setup just goes forward too, so that your weight stays centered and the bike keeps handling real well. Because I had a lot of people want to know about upper body angles and things like that, and I didn't really show any of that in the earlier video. So come on in, Charity. And I brought my digital goniometer that I built because I got bad eyes and it's easier to read. But this will be an easy way for you to see where we're at. So Charity's going to hold her leg up the top of the stroke, and if you go to any of the websites like slowtwitch.com, there's a lot of information on FIST, F-I-S-T, fitting, which is real popular for triathlons, and a lot of shops use that system. And it calls out a bunch of angles that you want to stay within. Now, Charity is easily below any of those angles because of her flexibility and taking advantage of that to get her back flat and make the aero drag real low. And so where we're at is if you go off her hip pivot point here to her knee pivot point and her shoulder point, she's at 40 degrees, so that would be 140 degrees if they all go by the included angle. So that's pretty low. Most people will actually be probably up in that range, so that would be a good bit higher. That would be like 52 or 53 degrees. But if you've got the flexibility and you're not doing an Ironman distance race, you sure ought to use it. Now pedal forward just a little bit. Okay, stop right there. Okay. And then the other thing is that your upper arm angle, they like to have this like at 90. Well, when she's really making power, she's going to be back on the aero bars with her pads more forward on her forearms, because that builds a lot more power. And in that situation, we are really pretty close to the 90-degree point. This is 85, so we're pretty close on that. And once again, the flexibility affects that kind of stuff. So, she's pretty good position-wise. She did go out and ride this bike and did that for the last couple of days. Didn't come back and beat me up or anything. So now we're going to put her on a tri-bike and see how it goes. The good people at Quintana Roo have loaned me a couple of bikes of different sizes, and this is a Sedusa, which I think is a great value in a bike. So I brought this up here for Charity, and so what I've done is change the cranks, and I'm down to 165 millimeter long cranks. And then we've gone ahead and done some positioning work on her. I've got the cranks on this set at she ends up being at 82 degrees forward, and then the bike's got a extended top tube, and so we had to use another slam stem because of her flexibility, and we want to take advantage of that. She's only doing like Olympic distance races right now, so we'll be able to set her up in a pretty aggressive position for that. Plus she's doing a little road racing, and she's going to do time trials for that. So we want to give her all the aero advantage we can. Now this is actually a pretty similar position as far as drop goes compared to her road bike setup, but she's just more forward. And because she has the flexibility, she can get down here and still make power without her legs hitting her diaphragm and causing problems. When she's at the top of her pedal stroke, if you go by some of the systems like the fist and all, which would be here at the hip point to the knee pivot point to her shoulder pivot point, she's at, which is backwards, and so it's 39 degrees, so it would be like 141. I think that's some correct math. You can go to slowtwitch.com and read a bunch of information on different angles that they prescribe to. Another one they like is to have this point in their arms and their upper body at about 90, and lo and behold, we're at 86, so we're pretty close on that. So it just gives you an idea. Now we shortened her cranks from 172.5s to 165s, and that helps with this angle, because at the top of the stroke before, her leg would have been about this much higher, which starts impeding on your hip flexors. Let's go ahead and pedal for a second. I've got a little load on the computer, so do that. Now what will happen is as she's pedaling in real life, when she comes to a hill, she's going to choke back on the bars to build more leverage here, because you can make more power by having your elbow pads further forward. It's a little hard to do this on an Ironman race because it kills your forearms, but for short races it's a good thing, because on a road bike the elbow pads were hitting her knees and bruising those up. So that's, anyway, we've got that going pretty well, and we've got some pictures to show you of how our pubic bone is rolling over into the seat, and that way your sit bones are up off the seat, and it's pretty comfortable. And sure enough, a lot of us can't get in this position, but you can try and make the effort to go pretty low. And if you're doing anything from a half Ironman and shorter, this is a good direction to go to.